Hello everybody and welcome to another episode. In today's episode I'm going to show you how to properly fix and diagnose any crank no start on any car out there. So today I'm working on this Volvo A16 from the year 2010 and this car is not starting at all. And sometimes it's starting but it's only working for a couple of minutes and then it's shutting down automatically and again it's not starting for a couple of hours. So the first thing which you have to check if you encounter a problem like a crank and no start situation is to check the cables from the positive and also from the negative on the car. So normally right here this is a fuse and normally right here should be a plastic part over it, but in my case I broke it just exactly to show you all how the fuse is looking. So right here in some cases this fuse, this middle part from between the cables, it's getting broken in time, and because of that the car is not going to start because the current is not passing through the cable and is not reaching the starter. So you'll have to check for it. You'll have to check also both of the cables, and if the cables are in a good condition, if the cables are not broken, this is meaning that you have no problems with the cables on this car. Also, you'll have to take in mind that if the cables are broken or if one of the cables is broken, you'll have no current which is going through the starter and you'll have a situation where the car will not crank and it will not start. So right here, this is the plastic part which I removed, which I broke it, just to show you all exactly how everything is looking and how everything is mounted on the cables. Alright everybody, let's say that to check the cables from the battery and from the starter, everything is looking good. You'll have no broken cables, you'll have no corrosion or something like that. Now it's time for you to go to check the thing number 2. So the second thing which you have to do is to check all the fuses on the vehicle. And on this Volvo S16, you'll have right here the first compartment with fuses next to the battery. And what I recommend all to do is to remove each relay itself, and you'll have to remove each fuse itself, but don't remove it all at once. You'll have to remove one by one and you'll have to put it exactly in the exact same spot from where you removed it. Also, you'll have to be very carefully to check the fuses and see exactly if they are broken or not, and if you find any broken fuse, you'll have to replace it with another fuse the exact same size. After that, the second location of the fuses is right here underneath the dashboard on the passenger side on this Volvo A16. You'll have to remove all of this plastic cover. You'll have 3 locations right here, 3 plastic covers which you'll have to remove, and right underneath you'll find a lot of fuses. In my case, I checked all the fuses from right here and everything is good. I checked the relays, everything is good, nothing is broken, and I'm good so far. The location number 3 with fuses on this Volvo A16, it's right here into the trunk on the left side, and right now I'm not able to show you exactly because I have no battery into the car, and because of that I cannot open the trunk to show you. But let's just say that to check all the fuses and the relays and everything is good, and now it's time for you to go ahead and check the cables from right here from the engine compartment. Right underneath the ABS pump you will find all of these cables, and all of these cables, because they are not protected with anything, in time they can create a lot of corrosion, they can break due to friction of the metal, and because of that they can break and it can lead to a crank and no start situation. Also, don't forget to check right here all of these cables. I already checked it, everything is good in my case. I checked the fuses, I checked the relays, I checked the cables, I checked the cables from the battery positive and negative terminals, and everything is good so far. After that, the next step which you'll have to check on these Volvos is to check the cables which are going into the ECU of the car. In my case, the ECU is very clean, I have no corrosion, everything is looking good, so in my case the problem is not with the ECU. After that, in my case, I also cleaned the temperature sensor which is mounted right here over the intake manifold. I cleaned it and I mounted it back on the car. And after you clean it, after you do all of these things, and if the car is still not starting, you have to check for the camshaft sensor, camshaft rotation sensor, which is mounted right here on this Volvo A16, and you also have to check for the crankshaft position sensor, which is mounted right here on this Volvo. And if you want to remove it, you'll have to remove the battery first, you'll have to remove all the plastic from around it, you'll have to remove the air filter box and one hose which is going from right here from the cooler system. And after you remove all of these things, you'll have to go right underneath the EGR cooler and you'll find the sensor which is mounted right here over the gearbox. It's secured with 2 bolts, and those 2 bolts are mounted over the engine. And after you remove the 2 bolts which are securing it, you'll have to disconnect the connector. In my case, I used something sharp to pry open the connector and push it away from the sensor, and after that I was able to remove the sensor completely out from the car. Right now, in my case for example, because I want to eliminate one big possibility of why the car is not starting, I'm going to replace the camshaft position sensors and also the crankshaft position sensor on this car. So I'm going to replace both of the sensors with 2 brand new sensors. I'm going to install them back on the car, and then I'm going to see and I'm going to check if the car is behaving properly or if it's not behaving properly. So as you can see, this is how the sensor is looking on this car, this is where it's located, and if you want to replace it, you'll have to do the exact same thing like I'm showing you right here. Alright everybody, it's a new day. I just received the sensor from this car. I installed already the sensor from the camshaft position, and also I installed the crankshaft position sensors on this vehicle. And right now the next step which I'm going to do is to start the car and see if the problem is solved or not. Right here, this is the camshaft position sensors on this Volvo A16. It's located right here, and I already installed the brand new one onto the engine. You'll have to remove the little screw which is securing it mounted over the engine, and you'll have to tighten it back using a Torx 30. Also, right here, I have the box with the brand new sensors. So as you can see, the sensor which was already installed on the car, it's made by Denso, and the one which I installed on the vehicle, it's made by Bosch. Doesn't matter the manufacturer, it's just very important to install the brand new sensor on the car. So I hope you all are able to see exactly right here, the sensor is installed back on its place. I secured it with the special screws, and also I placed the connector over it, so everything is good to go from here. Also, if you all want to buy the sensors, this is the code, and also this is the manufacturer which I choose to go with. This is the box from the camshaft position sensor, and right here, this is the box from the crankshaft position sensor. Alright everybody, with all of these things being said, I will go ahead and try to start the vehicle. I want to see if the problem is solved or not, so let's just see if the car is behaving properly or not. This is the first time when I'm starting the car after one day. As you can see, the engine is starting, the car is running very good so far. Alright everybody, so as you can see, the car is still behaving like before. The car is still into a situation with a crank and no start. So in my case, I didn't fix the problem by replacing the camshaft and the crankshaft position sensor. So the last thing which I have to check on this vehicle, and the last thing which I have to do, is to remove the fuel tank, and is to check the fuel pump which is mounted inside the fuel tank on this Volvo A16. And because of this, if you want to remove the fuel pump from this Volvo A16, you'll have to remove the fuel tank completely out from the vehicle, and only then you'll have access to the fuel pump which is mounted right here over it. So in my case, as you can see, I disconnected all the pipes, I removed everything from the fuel tank, and now I'm able to remove the fuel pump completely out from the reservoir. And as you can see, I just found out my problem. It's right here on the fuel pump. I have a short circuit on the pin number 3, everything is melted around it, and because of that, the connectors was not connecting properly with each other, and because of that, the pump was not starting when it was supposed to be starting. Right now I'm going to show you what I did to be able to remove the fuel tank from this car. You'll have to go underneath the car, and the first thing which I did was to lower the subframe just a little bit, around 1 centimeter, because I wanted to remove the exhaust pipe completely out from the vehicle. And because this exhaust pipe, it's only one piece and it's very long, I have to lower it just a little bit to create me enough space to pull it out from my way. So as you can see, I didn't remove it completely, I only lowered it about 1 centimeter, and that's it. Also, on some Volvos, the exhaust pipe is installed on 2 parts, on 2 pieces, but in my case, as you can see, it's welded right here in this area, and because of that I have to lower the subframe just a little bit to create more space to put it around. But if you, for example, have an exhaust pipe which is installed in 2 parts, in 2 pieces, you are able to remove the final part without having to lower the subframe on the car. So as you can see, those are the brackets which are securing the fuel tank mounted over the car. After that, you'll have to remove this little fuel pipe. You'll have to remove it from the reservoir. You'll have to remove it by removing the little clip which is securing it mounted to the reservoir. And after that, right here, this is the connector which is going into the fuel pump. It's not in a very bad condition. It is a little bit melted, but it's nothing serious. Also, this is the area from where I removed the pipes which are coming out from the fuel pump into the lines which are going out into the car. You'll have to disconnect it from right here, and after that you'll have to lower the reservoir completely out from the vehicle. Okay everybody, I just finished installing everything back onto the vehicle. I fixed the car, I installed the brand new fuel pump into the fuel tank on the car, and I installed everything back together how it was installed on the factory. This is how everything is looking with everything mounted back on the car. everything is on its place, everything is secured properly, and from here I'm going to show you exactly how the car is working after that. So in my case, I already drove the car a little bit, I checked it, I started a few times, and everything is working how it's supposed to be working. Just listen how the car is starting. So the car is running great. I only have one problem with the car. I have the diesel particle filter, which is almost full of ash. I'm going to clean it, I'm going to do a force regeneration, and I'm going to fix all the problems on this car. Also, the ABS light, which I have it on the dashboard, is because I drove the car a little bit in the air while it was on the jack stand. In my case, as you all saw, on this Volvo A16, the crank and no start situation was because of a bad fuel pump, but in your case, after you check all of these things, you have to figure out for yourself what the problem can be. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video and found it informative, please leave a like and a comment down below. See you next time.